Hey everyone, I'm Michael Bruce, CMO at Agent Moves, and welcome to our Good to Great series. We're all about sharing amazing stories of top realtors and how they got there so we can help make more realtors great. Hey, let's jump in with our guest today, Bradley Wisk. Something interesting about Bradley I want him to talk about. So, two really interesting facts. One, he's a classic music in opera. And he had some stories he was telling me about, giving up football to actually go to opera. And he was on The Bachelor, among some other stories. So we have to hear a couple of these stories from Bradley, and then we'll get into talking about real estate. So welcome, Bradley.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. So really my background was in classical music as an operatic, initially as a baritone and then into a tenor. Went to Indiana University. Obviously, our football team's doing great right now. I then did my master's in Manhattan at Manhattan School of Music, and then just went off to LA to start to perform more commercially. Still, my passion is opera. And then mine, the French bulldog. She's a puppy, and I couldn't leave her in her crate during this interview. But it was obviously an amazing experience, which I'm still actively involved in. Last year was in Venice, Italy, singing. But then, I think my mom and my sister wanted me to be married and have a couple kids. So they submitted me for The Bachelor, and I ended up doing that several years ago and had a great time, and obviously didn't get married, but was a great experience. And it also was on America's Got Talent for a little bit too. So yeah, that's kind of the brief summation.
All right. So I'm sure other realtors that'll hear this will connect with you on Facebook or somewhere and want to get into a little bit more of the details with you. But that's really awesome. What great experiences. Real estate. Tell us about, here you are, you go to IU. I know you were talking about football, opera, studying music. How the heck do you get involved in real estate?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've just always had an affinity for architecture and design, and living in New York, obviously very different unless you're in Brooklyn and seeing the brownstones, but in LA and just seeing these palatial properties. And during the pandemic, I actually got to go hang out with Matt and Josh Altman in LA and go through some incredible properties up to about 120 million just outside of Beverly Hills. Just incredible. So and in my own career, I help first-time home buyers, but also my niche, I would say, is luxury real estate. But I just always was very fascinated. It was the summer of 2017. I was thinking about, okay, what else can I do outside of classical music and performing? Because I do love business. Part of that's from my grandfather who went to the Wharton Business School. And so I've always had a passion for business and deals and negotiating, and math is one of my favorite subjects. And so I said, how about I give this a shot? So I was still in LA, and I just took the online courses because I'm originally from Michigan, and just, passed all the coursework, obviously, and then had to fly back to Michigan to take the state exam. And that's kind of how this whole process was initiated. So it was really the beginning of 2018 when I started selling.
So tell us a little bit about the journey now. So 2018, you get started. Obviously, we know the pandemic hits in 2020, but you start building this. Tell us about the journey, how it starts, how you start building. Are you dealing more with sellers or buyers or equal amount?
Yeah. So initially, I think unless you're very, very lucky and you have a plethora of contacts and a deep Rolodex, I don't think you're really starting as a listing agent or broker. You're really dealing with a lot of buyers. And I had a lot of connections just from being from Michigan, being on some TV shows because of some of this TV stuff that I've done. But really, it was boots on the ground, just really hitting the pavement, telling people I'm in real estate. I did partner up with Zillow for a little just to get that engine going. I know some people are against it, some people are for it. For me, it worked. So that's how through telling people and my connections in Michigan, and also utilizing and leveraging Zillow to get that engine started initially.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so, kind of keep going. So you got that going. Mm-hmm. Today, are you dealing with like a big, sphere of influence and past customers? What's the makeup of your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So that got going. My first year was, fortunately, was really good. And then it just incrementally just got better and better each year. And obviously through doing business, you want to have repeat business. I mean, that's, I think, the impetus. I mean, if you can get, people to refer you and have repeat business, you're going to have the longevity. If it's transactional, not going to happen. It's a side note would be, I spent some time between my undergrad and master's with Nordstrom's in Atlanta, and they, for 2 weeks, hit customer service. So my focus and focal point was to be more of a boutique agent and focus on customer service. Because I felt that through that would then, propel business and continue to grow through that. And so that's what happened. So naturally, that was transpiring. Each year I was doing better and better, starting to get listings in my second year of real estate. Then the pandemic hit. And actually for me, well, no one knew at the time. We thought, oh gosh, this is going to be another 2000. But it wasn't. It was an incredible time. And during that process, even though I was extremely busy, I decided to get my license in New York because I obviously did my master's in New York City and wanted to start expanding because I had the capacity to do so. So yeah, and then get to present day, I would say probably still half and half. I mean, I would say this year was my highest level of listings, but I still have a plethora of buyers. And I don't think I would ever, because if I decide, now that I'm a broker, if I decide to expand to a small boutique team, I can then leverage that through my Rolodex of buyers.
Right. Excellent. Yeah. Obviously great. So today what do you think your business is from your database and sphere of influence? Are you doing half your business there? Is it?
I think now it is about half. Absolutely. And, I still dabble with Zillow. I think why not? Especially again, if I am going to bring on some new agents, I can entice them with leads out of the gate, which is the trickiest thing if you're trying to do that naturally without utilizing another system. So yes, I would say it's about half now. Obviously, I want to continue to expand that and have more referrals and organic leads, whether it's listings or buyers. And then, as I've said, I've done some work in New York City, but I want to really, I think 25, my focal point will be expanding that market and generating kind of an equal business between Michigan and New York City is the goal.
Okay, beautiful. So I love the goal. So you're going to keep the Michigan business, obviously, and then build and expand the New York business. So what's the plan on, coming in here? The area, right? Having gone to school here, spent a lot of time here, right? So New York, way more confined, than dealing with obviously suburbs and, as you get out more rural. What's the plan?
Well, I do have a business partner there who's also with Keller Williams. He's been in real estate 26, 27 years, specifically in New York City. Great asset and resource, even though I know that market and that demographic extremely well, because I've lived in all the boroughs. Having someone who's specifically done that niche market, which it is truly a bubble. If anyone's sold in New York City, they understand it is not like anywhere else. That's why coming back to Michigan to do deals, it's kind of like I'm cleaning my palate again. Even Los Angeles, for that matter, you can still close within 25, 30 days. New York City, on average, 60 to 90 days, not just because it's an attorney state. There's just a lot of things that go into it. So, I think, again, diving deeper with my business partner in New York City, and then because I'm part of Keller Williams in my offices, one in Holland, one in Granville, Michigan, there's, 86 agents that I can draw from to, facilitate my business here while I'm focusing on New York City.
Okay. Very, very interesting. Yeah. And look, you have some, we've been dealing with agents as well, helping them niche down and helping train them on, how to look at niches, right? I find the agents that do kind of look at whether it's downsizing groups, whether it's alumni, people, could be dealing with yoga, and, something that you really enjoy doing, right? But finding that niche, curious on your exploration of looking at this. Have you looked at other niches, like with you in music as an example?
Absolutely. I think now I'm starting to reinvigorate my classical music as well. And everyone's saying, how do you do both? But when you're passionate about something, you love something, which I love both business, people, and performing. It's easy for me because, I can push myself hard. And that might be from being an athlete. You have to. If you can't self-motivate and have that tenacity and perseverance, you're not going to prevail. And so I would say, and we're talking about niches, yes, a lot of my environment is luxury based, but I tell even newer agents, don't limit yourself until it becomes, say, 90% of your business is whatever your niche is. Don't say no to anything else. So I help a lot of veterans. I help a lot of first-time home buyers. Basically, I don't say no. I don't think I have the luxury to say no, even though I've been in the business almost 8 years now. I think until you really, really establish yourself, you've got to do it all. Mm-hmm. That's just my thought process.
Interesting. So tell me about winning a listing, right? Like, I don't know, some of the stats out there are, mind boggling, right? Some of the things that we deal with in this category that, 85% of sellers don't use the same agent that sold them their house because they don't remember who they are, right? And that goes to your database nurturing and so forth, staying, communicating with those people, which just, it seems to be prevalent, right, to have that kind of a number. Another one is, I think it's something like 80% or 81% of sellers see only one agent and make that choice. So that's incredible, becoming like that first agent to get to the house and with that message. So tell me about what makes you unique. How do you stand out when you go in to win that listing?
Well, on a kind of comical note, I mean, there are some clients that absolutely remember me. And at the end of the process, when we're closing, they're like, can we, my granddaughter or my daughter or, remember us through the batch, can we take a picture? So, I mean, I think some of that does. And because at the end of the day, it's about credibility. Can they trust you? Especially if they're meeting, I mean, there's around 1.6 million agents nationally. How do you stand out? And I think, for me, that was one way. Obviously, that's not the entire direction that's bringing me all those leads is from that. But there is a little bit of that. But I think, what I want to start incorporating, and I think everyone needs to embrace is, social media, AI to help stay on top of that, because that is the problem is, okay, you've done a great job, you've closed, but not everyone's great at touching base on a regular basis, which is important. We all get really busy. It's not that we don't want to talk to them again, or we didn't enjoy our time with them, or they didn't enjoy us, but it's tough. It's tough when you're really busy, especially with me when I'm traveling too. So I think that's what I need to do, though. If I can better what I'm doing is have some type of digital platform that's helping to nurture when I'm not physically calling them or physically in front of them.
Right, right. No, excellent. Right. So, but now you get a meeting, right? You get someone new to say, to go in and look to win that listing, right? So you go into their home. What do you do? Anything special? Is it your personality? Is it
Yeah,
like,
I think so. I mean, obviously, I study the comps. I mean, I'm not a big fan of even using that word, because what I like to do is I like to go into the property and evaluate it. I don't care if it's $100 million property or it's a $250,000 property. So I'll know what the market is and the average price per square foot, but maybe they've just redid the kitchen or the primary bathroom or made it an ensuite or just finished the basement. So I like to do my own evaluation, and I tell them that. So I don't necessarily bring this pitch and packet. I like to interact with them. I like to ask them questions. What do you want from me? This is what I'll do for you. I'll do your video. I'll do the 3D tour. I'll do the drones. I'll do the little, and when I do my videos too, I'm in the video when I'm doing a listing video, because I think it's important. It's not about me, but I like to present the property because I know it extremely well, obviously, because I've studied it. So I think that's my approach, is really getting to know them so that they feel comfortable with me and they trust that through my study and through my expertise that I'm going to provide them with the outcome that they want. At the end of the day, all they care about is selling the property for the number that they want. All the other stuff is fluff, but you still have to present that fluff.
Yep, yep. No, excellent. All right, so you've given us a bunch of ideas here. Again, this series is about having other agents, that are in similar positions, have been in the business, 7, 10, 15 years. They're always taking it to the next level and always trying to get a nugget. I kind of always say, boy, if you can watch something like this and come away with one nugget, it's a home run for the, 20,
Absolutely.
30 minutes, right? So give us your one or two nuggets that you want to kind of leave other agents with in expanding, in growth.
Well, specifically growth. Don't settle. You could be a part of a team. You could be, fed leads, or in my case, a boutique agent. So we're all independent contractors. We have to self-motivate. So whatever that does, or whatever that is for you, that helps you to push yourself when you feel like, oh gosh, I don't feel great today, didn't sleep well, but you still have to push yourself, because if you don't, you're not going to close on any deals. You're not going to make any money. So I would say the most imperative thing to growth on an annual basis is you always have to one-up yourself, challenge yourself, set a crazy goal. And even if you don't obtain it, you have to set that goal. That's the only way you're gonna grow. And you have to believe that it's obtainable and that it's possible. So I would say that would be my number one piece of advice. And I do it for myself. I always want to do better. And part of that is because I'm very competitive, because I was an athlete and as a singer doing auditions. Trust me, I sang very well and didn't get the role. But I think part of those life experiences helped me for this. because we're going to get listing appointments where they don't want to work with us, or we'll get them. That you just can't control those variables. So again, push yourself on an annual basis, always challenge yourself. And if you feel like you're getting complacent, acknowledge it, accept it, and then correct it.
It's beautiful. Having that aspirational goal. And again, I've done quite a few of these interviews. No one has really talked about that a lot yet. And in business, on the corporate side, there are these things called OKRs, and you look to have stretch goals. You should always be shooting for, right, kind of that stretch goal, that aspirational goal in this case. So I think that's great advice for, again, that good realtor that's already successful. Hey, everything's going great, really well for you. Put that goal out there that feels like it might almost be unattainable. And then how do I get there, right? What do I build to get there?
Yeah, and trust me, I've said those things, and they're like, "Hey, Brad, you've only been in real estate 3 years. I really think you can." And I'm like, "Yes," and I would get close to it, because it doesn't matter what anyone says. And again, I think that might be from my career as a singer. You're going to fail. Michael Jordan talks about it. Everyone talks about all this, the rings I've obtained. No one talks about the 10,000 shots I missed. That's the thing. You're going to fail. You're going to have a deal, and it's like a week away from closing, and it falls apart. There's some things you just can't control, but you have to self-motivate. I don't care if you're part of a team or you're by yourself, period.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Great advice. I think this will be well taken, and really looking forward to getting this up on our YouTube channel. And for everyone watching, please, if you got something out of this, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, go follow Bradley on Facebook. But we really appreciate the time, Bradley. Some great stuff I think that you've given out here, and look forward to seeing some responses.
Absolutely. I agree.
All right. Thanks again for the time. Really appreciate it.
No problem.